Okay, what we're going to do now is go over a review of the machine basics so you have a good understanding of how to use the microcurrent machine. So there's no substitute for on-hand experience, and you'll be working with one of the staff members, either Skype, telephone, or in person, so you know exactly how to use the machine. It's critical because in the past, when people are not trained properly with the machine, they do things like not even start the program. It's in a standby mode and they think they're doing an eye treatment and the machine isn't even turned on. And they're treating their eye for months, and then we discover that they're doing it wrong. So it's really important that you understand the standby mode, how to turn the machine on. It's not that complicated, but it's easy to make a mistake. So this is an overview of the machine. You can see that there are 5 numbers here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the buttons are elevated. So the machine was designed for somebody with low vision. We have somebody with only 5% vision who can barely see light, and she's able to operate the machine fine. So to begin, and I'll go over this actually live with the machine. Begin, you hit the start button. When you hit the start button, one of these lights will be flashing, blinking. The machine is not in operation. It's in the standby mode. Then you just click a number for the particular program you're going to want to use. So number 1 will be your eye program. So if number 5 is flashing, you hit 1, then 1 will be flashing. Then when you're satisfied you have the right protocol, then you'll hit the start button. Then it'll stop flashing. That means it's running. And these lights will come on. Channel 1 and channel 2. And this will come on. This is percent completion, 0, 25, 50, 75, 100. That tells you where you are in your program. If it's 50%, you're done halfway. These lights should be off. If they're flashing, that means you do not have a good connection. Now, if you forget and say, now what did Dr. Kondrat say? Do they flash when I have a connection? Or are they supposed to be off when I have a connection? Well, hold the gloves together. When you hold the gloves together, you know they have a connection. The lights will go out. So if you're doing a treatment and the lights are on, something's wrong. And we'll show you how to troubleshoot. And here's a magnified view. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Percent completion. Low battery. When this light comes on here, that means you have a low battery. You can complete your program with a low battery, but that means you should change the battery. You can use alkaline batteries, lithium batteries, and rechargeable batteries. Any type of battery will be fine. Channel 1 and channel 2. You may notice above 1 is 6. Above 2 is 7. Above 3 is 8. Above 4 is 9. 5 is 0 or 10. That means that 1 could be program number 6 if you hit the shift key. The shift key is kind of this brownish color, and this is brownish. So when you turn the machine on, if not, number 2 is flashing, and you hit the shift key, if this light and this light flash, that means you have number 7. And I'll give a demo on this. Now, this is kind of like the old style player recorder. When you hit the play button, the machine's running. Let's say that the telephone rings or somebody's at your front door and you want to stop. You hit the pause button. Don't hit stop, because if you hit stop, that ends it. So if you're 15 minutes into your 30-minute eye program and you hit stop, you got to start all over again. But if you hit pause, it'll just hesitate it till you answer the door, take care of the phone call, and restart. Takes 2 batteries, AA batteries. They can be alkaline, Duracell, lithium, whatever. Remember the battery law. The flat end of the battery goes to the spring. If you would put the batteries in the wrong way, it's not going to damage your machine. I've put them in the wrong way. So if you put fresh batteries in and you go, why isn't this working? Check and make sure you put them in the right way. Like this. Slide them in. And we'll practice with the washcloths. Fold them in thirds like that. Only one way to do the eye program. And that is one washcloth rolled in thirds over the eye, the other behind your neck. That's the only way. Now to do the brain program or brain and sensory, you put the washcloth on your forehead and one on the neck. 3 ways to do body programs. The body programs are stress, detox, inflammation, all these different programs. Simply holding the gloves. Once again, make sure that your hands aren't touching or they're crossed, because the current, we want the current to go through your body, not from one end to the other. Also directly on the tissue you're treating. So this is the stress and detox. You know, we have the solar plexus here, which can be very effective. You can do the inflammation program, treating your whole body, but if you have inflammation of the knee, you want to put the gloves right over that knee. And bathtub or hot tub. But I would caution you, most hot tubs have a lot of chlorine. Chlorine is nasty for you. And microcurrent acts as a carrier. What do I mean by that? Microcurrent can carry substances into your body. So if you have makeup and mascara on your eyes and you're doing the facial or the microcurrent treatment, it's going to carry those petrochemicals into your eye. Now you can use this as an advantage. I like essential oils, especially frankincense. And I'll show you how we use the frankincense to help carry that energy into the eye. And this is treating an elbow. Treating the knee, one glove, washcloth above the knee, one below. So care of gloves. Avoid toxic detergents. We have patients who use a toxic detergent like Tide and Cher, and there's many others. They did not rinse the washcloth, and they developed a dermatitis or eczema on their area, the eyes, because of the toxic, because the microcurrent carries those toxins in. Always rinse the gloves and washcloths thoroughly. Now, in terms of cleaning the washcloths, you should rarely need to clean the gloves because you're protecting the gloves with the washcloth. If you do have to clean the gloves, do not disconnect the snaps on the gloves, because repeatedly unsnapping and snapping, you'll lose the connection. So gently keep the leads on the gloves, agitate them. I like to use Dr. Bronner's. It's an organic soap. You can get them at Trader Joe's and most health food stores. It's non-toxic. Gently agitate it, dry it. Of course, with the washcloths, you can't clean them in your washing machine and use your normal process, but rinse them thoroughly. Whatever detergent you use, rinse them thoroughly in water. I like essential oils, especially frankincense. I attended a lecture by a brilliant alternative doctor, and he cited article after article in the literature about the healing power of frankincense, restoring DNA, regeneration. So it makes sense to me. In our office, we put a couple drops of frankincense in our basin of water. We soak the washcloths in, and then we put it on the patient's eye. So if you ever need to test the channel indicators, hold the gloves together. Hold the gloves together, the light should go out. So if you're holding the gloves like this, the light should go out. If they don't, if they still stay on, that means there's something wrong with the cable or there's something wrong with the glove. The gloves and cables are guaranteed for 3 months. The machine is guaranteed for a year. And Ningwu, the manufacturer, is pretty good. No matter what happens to the machine in a year, we'll take care of you, even if it's run over by a car. But the gloves now, we're kind of fussy about that because patients have sent gloves back to us. Looks like a dog has chewed them up. There's mustard stain, makeup on it, and they're not working. So take care of the gloves. Okay, now I'm going to give you a demonstration, and I'll show you how to put the machine together. So this is the box. And it does have an owner's manual right here, which goes over everything in detail. Now, in terms of traveling, I've never had any problems traveling with this. And my wife and I travel over the United States and Europe, put it in my check-in luggage. I've yet to be stopped. But if you walk through the screener carrying it, then I think you might be stopped. Don't do that. Comes the 2 batteries, and here's the cables. You can see one cable has a blue jack. This is the blue one. And the other cable has the red. If you have trouble opening it, have a child or a teenager do it. So in the back, very simple, there's a red and a blue. There's another marked COM. This is if you take the level 1, you'll have a special software to attach this to your computer where you can change the frequencies. So the red goes into the red, the blue goes into the blue. Now a common question I get is, what end should go over my eyes? Should the red end go over my eyes or the blue end? This is alternating. So every 2.5 seconds it changes. The current goes from here to here, then 2.5 seconds later it goes from here to here. There are some programs in which we have one direction. It doesn't alternate. There's some neuropathy. But if you do select one of those, we'll tell you that it is important that you keep the red glove or the red end a certain position.
It's alternating, it doesn't matter which one.
It doesn't matter. It's alternating, correct. Now, so these are the gloves. So just simply take one end here and snap. And as I mentioned, once you snap them, keep them here. Don't repeatedly take them off. You'll loosen.
It doesn't matter which side you put the red
No.
on either snap?
It doesn't matter which side. Now, if you do have problems with the glove, sometimes it's not the glove, sometimes it's the cable. We're dealing with a very, very low current. We're dealing with a microamp, which is a millionth of an amp. And typically the programs that we use run between 40 and 100 microamps. It's imperceptible. I have found that sometimes the lower the current, the better result. When I started out doing microcurrent, I began doing 400 microamps. Then over the last 10 years, I'm using less and less and getting better results because typically most people think more is better. I want more power, do it longer. Well, we're gently stimulating the body, and it seems like a 30-minute treatment with about 40 to 100 microamps work the best. I talked to Ning Wu, the engineer. The machine can go as low as 20 microamps. I said, Ning, I'd like to get it down maybe to 10 or 5. Can you do it? He says, yes, we can do it, but it would probably quadruple the cost of the machine because the lower the current, the more sophisticated and delicate the equipment has to be to deliver that low energy. And that's one of the reasons why you can get a 2,000 microamp machine on eBay for $70 because it delivers a high current, so lower current. Anyway, we're all set up. So let's look at the machine here. Let's turn it on. Doesn't work. Why? I don't have batteries. First thing you do, check the batteries. Don't be embarrassed. Like calling up the washing machine guy, my washing machine doesn't work. It's not plugged in. Oh, thank you. So Now the batteries are in. Hopefully I put the ends right. Now let's try. Hit the start button. Ah, it's flashing. That means it's in the standby mode. It's not running. Let's say I want to do number 3, which is stress. I turn it on. Now it's still not running. Don't make the mistake like some patients make. They start to do the treatment and they think it's running. It's not. You have to hit this button again. Now, what happens? These lights come on, this comes on. But these lights aren't supposed to be on if you get a treatment. Now, I'm not sure what Dr. Conrad said. Are the lights on with the treatment or off? One way to test it is put the gloves together. I hold the gloves together, what happens? They go off. If I put a glove in one hand, I'm holding it in this hand, and I grab this hand, they go off. The current is now going through me. If I drop the glove, they come on. So you want to make sure these lights are off.
Are the settings the same for male or female or different sized bodies or any of that?
A question that sometimes is asked, are the settings different for a male or female? They are different. The brain program, we have a brain program for a male, brain program for a female. So we do factor in your sex. But for most of the eye programs, we don't have a difference between dry macular for men or dry macular for women. So that's the basics. Now let's go over getting the washcloth set. A Walmart washcloth. Before we didn't specify a thin cotton washcloth, and we had people coming in with Bloomingdale beach towels wrapped like a Arabian chic around their head, so thin. And it put the glove right in the center. Now, these gloves are moist. They don't have to be dripping wet. I think if you squeeze them real hard and it drips a little bit, that's enough. But the way you test, if you're doing the treatment and the lights come on, you know. There's another factor you have to really pay attention to, is your hydration. You can have the wet gloves and wet washcloths, but if you're dehydrated, it's not going to be effective.
If you are or not?
If you are dehydrated, you need to be hydrated. So there is one. There is the other. Now, when I do the eye, I like to fold one like this to put on my neck. And the other one goes over my eyes like this. Don't hold it. I see a lot of people holding this. Don't hold it because the current's going to be going through your hand. So lay it here. You want to lie back on the floor so you do your treatment. You can use a headband or something like that to hold it, but I recommend when you do the eye program, just relax, lie flat. Meditate, deep breathe, listen to some music, positive aphorism, prayer, you know, relax your body. Cleaning the gloves. As I mentioned, do not remove the snaps. Simply put the gloves in a basin of water, gently agitate it with some Dr. Bronner's soap, and then make sure they dry thoroughly.
But as you're saying, the gloves themselves probably are not necessary to be cleaned too often because they're covered by the...
Yeah, the gloves are not necessary to clean because they're protected by the washcloths. Now, there's a lot of shortcuts. Sometimes I'll do the stress program. I'll tuck one moist glove inside my underwear front and back, and I have this in my pocket, and I can walk around doing the stress. I'm on the telephone doing consults, working. Also, more than one person can do a stress program. So my wife, Miss Lee, she'll take one glove, I'll hold one in my hand, and we hold hands, and the circuit's complete. So 2 people can do a stress or a detox. So if you're sitting there watching the evening news, I would recommend you do the stress program. The news, I haven't heard any good news yet. So you want to do that.
Maria's turned, Hurricane Maria is turning out going on.
Good. All right. So that is the demonstration. Any questions, please call the office at 800-430-9328 or email us at info@healingtheeye.com.